So now that we have our view model, basically everything is set up. It displays the interaction message. It just doesn't clear it or anything. We want to go ahead and basically finish it. So what we're going to be doing is inside of, well, the perform UI sweep function, we're going to be refactoring this ever so slightly to where this logic here will only run once when there is a new interaction message, and the clearing will also only run once when it is time to clear the UI message. Now, that is just a small little improvement. It's not really necessary. We could just clear it here and call it a day. However, I would like to remove the continuous calls to the set interaction message, but again, it's not really needed. So to begin, what we're going to do is let's go ahead and copy this interaction or this interact interface variable declaration and go to our protected section in the header and basically do the same thing. Let's go ahead and forward declare the interact interface. So class iInteract interface, and we'll call this one previous interact interface. So once we have that, we're going to do basically a simple check. So we're grabbing the new interact interface, and what we want to check is if the interact interface, the new one, does not equal the previous interact interface, meaning it is something different, we want to go ahead and set the interaction message. Likewise, we also want to set the previous interact interface to equal the new interact interface. Next up, if we do not hit something, so we want to clear the message, we want to do a check. So if the previous interact interface is valid, we want to clear the message and set the previous interact interface to be a null pointer. So we're just going to grab this set interact message call and basically just pass in nothing. So AF name just empty. So we perform a sweep. If we hit something valid, we jump into here, we grab the interact interface from it. We check and see if the new interact interface does not equal the old one. And if that is true, then we set the previous interact interface to equal the new one, and we set the interaction message. So to confirm that this is in fact just running once, let's go ahead and do a log here in the else, and we'll call it clearing UI message. So here we're setting it, and here we are clearing it. So let's go ahead and close down editor, recompile, and relaunch, and just make sure we are good to go. Okay, once we are back inside the editor, let's go ahead and press play, and I'll just clear out the log to make it easier. So we look at the door, and as you can see, it prints just once, and when I look away, it also prints just once that it is clearing the UI message. So as a quick little test, let's try what happens when we do a little transition, just to make sure. So we're looking at one, and we look at the other, and it is printing out the new interaction message. So we are pretty much good to go. The only thing we need to work on is the actual none. So we don't really want, none there, obviously. So what we're going to do is go to our interaction message.h and set the default value to just be empty. So same thing with our gameplay ability interact. We're going to set it to empty because I guess a newly constructed f name defaults to name none, which is quite literally just none. So we're going to go ahead and run our live coding, which is again Control Alt F11, and build this out. So when we press play, we still get none, and we still get none. So I guess that is not sufficient. So let me see, we could just add a space. However, at this point, I am starting to question that we need to use a f string instead. So let's go ahead and I guess we can just convert it to a f string. So I'm going to close the editor down and go to the interact message, change f name to f string, and just change the remaining types like so, to use f string. Likewise, inside of the gameplayability interact, we're passing in a f name, so we need to convert it to a string like so. And for here, we are good to go. We can just pass in an empty string. So we should be good to go. The only thing we need to do now is once we're back in the editor in our interaction widget blueprint, we are going to want to change the conversion function from a to text from name to a to text from string. Okay, so once we are back in the editor, let's go to our WBP interact message, go to window, go to view bindings, and if we hit, compile, oh, I guess that actually does technically work maybe, but we're going to change from to text from name to text from string. And then again, we're going to change the binding to be the interact message. So go ahead and save that, press play, and there we go. Now the message goes away. Now let me make sure. Okay, I did actually remove the space here. I wasn't 100% sure I did. But since we know we are good to go, we can go ahead and remove our logs as we no longer need them because, well, we have an actual UI message. So now that we have this all nice and set up, what we're going to probably be doing in the next video is going through and actually setting up a proper HUD. Because right now what we're doing is we are simply, if we're locally controlled, we're creating the widget and adding it to the viewport. We don't really want to do that. We're going to have a lot more going on at some point. So I would much rather create a HUD instead and basically have the HUD be kind of what initializes and kicks everything off in terms of UI anyways. So the HUD would be responsible for, adding or creating and adding the interaction message widget. Well, actually creating the HUD widget in general. It'll be likely responsible for responding to new players joining, which would create, a little points, adding to our points list down here. Our, what do you call it? I guess the scoreboard technically in this case, when you hold down tab, that appears, all that kind of stuff. It'll be just like a central location for, accessing all of these widgets and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, that is going to be all for now, and I will see you in the next video. If you like what I'm doing and you want to help support me, you can find a link to my Patreon in the description below, which will also grant you early access to all the videos in this series.